Okay, we're live.
We're finally live.
Here we are. Sorry, we're joining a little bit late this evening. Some technical difficulties. You know, that happens when we're doing live, videos we're doing here. But we are now on the air for the South Florida Blitz, week 2, as we head towards the opening week of high school football games. I am Marty Pallman. He's Joshua Wilson. Josh has been working here feverishly the last 20 minutes or so to get things moving. And Josh...
Had everything pretty much set to go at airtime, and everything just kind of went right to as they call hell in a handbasket.
That's right. That's what they call it. And you know what happens when you go live? Anything can happen like that. So, but we are on the air. We'll be here till about 8:30 tonight, as we'll have a packed show for you. South Florida coming up. The fan question of the week. We're going to have the pick six. We got some really big games in the pick six, some national implication games, and coming up. And of course, our interview this evening will be with the legend, Larry Blustein of LarryBlustein.com and Prep RedZone Florida. We'll have him coming on in about 15 minutes. But
actually, maybe we go ahead and flip it around
and do it now. Yeah, we can do that. Let's do things on the fly here.
Sometimes that's what has to happen here. Is we have to flip that things around.
Looks like Blue's waiting in the wings, so he's ready to go.
Yeah,
so we can. We will give you the blitz lines a little later, but first, let's go ahead and.
Yeah, we'll just
bring on our man Larry Blustein to talk about.
And bring him on here, Larry Blustein, the man of the hour, the GOAT, a legend in the Sunshine State. And Larry, I know you have been very busy getting ready here for week 1 and everything. But first, thanks for taking your time to join us here. And first, let's just say, how's everything going for you down there in South Florida?
Well, pretty good now that I'm back in South Florida. This has been the busiest off season that I've had. I hit 11 colleges throughout the state, from Pensacola all the way down to FIU and Miami. I went to FAU in Florida, Florida State, went to Warner, to Weber, to Kaiser, everywhere in between. Saw 250 different schools, almost 4,000 athletes. And last week I kind of kicked off the Kickoff Classic in style. I had a game Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 2 Friday, and 4 on Saturday. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And boy, I tell you, I was going to say sometimes the off season seems like it's a little slow, but not for you. Obviously, you've been traveling all over Florida. It sounds like I covered every college and university there.
Well, that's the thing too, Marty. When being an old school guy, you kind of do things in old school ways. And, there's a lot of people who sit home and do their recruiting, as I call it, computer recruiters, and they don't go anywhere. They make assessments off of teams and kids without understanding that half or 3/4 of the recruiting process is all on character. And you only know that by standing 6 feet away from a kid and, seeing what type of person he is. And that's what separates a lot of people. I always said, if I'm not going to do it this way, I'm not going to do it at all. And, there's a lot of guys, and, Josh will tell you in this state that they like to put out content, but they don't like to go anywhere. And, if I only had to do that, it would be easy. But you go away for, I had 13, 14 hotel nights during June and July. And
wow.
But here's the thing. I enjoy it. The high school coaches and the kids, who see us and, have seen us for years, get a chance to see you personally. And, up in Pensacola, at University of West Florida, they had 2 7-on-7s back to back in a special team camp. And everybody who came there was like, from Gulf Breeze or from Alabama or from, Niceville, a lot of kids from that area who don't get a chance to see you, and their parents, and it was great. And same thing at FSU, Florida. Was the day I went to Florida, it seemed like they had more Georgia teams in there. But then the proximity from Gainesville into Georgia is not that bad comparatively to South Florida. Just to get to some of these places is a chore. But probably the best time I had in the off season was University of South Florida. Coach Golish rolled out the red carpet for us. We're there for 4 days. We saw 2 separate camps that were like, and you had 35, 40 different college coaches from around the country at the mega camps, 700 kids one day, 800 the next, and then 2 days of 7-on-7. Got a chance to see, Coco and Jones and a lot of these programs that I may not get a chance to see. And, but that's a great thing. And, I was sorry that I missed your media day, but I kind of made up for it in Orlando. They had about 109 schools. I did make it. South Florida had another 120 schools. So it was good. It was a really productive thing. And everybody goes, "Oh, man, you must be worn out." Nah, I could get worn out sitting in front of a TV. So why don't I make the most of it?
No, absolutely, I get that, and for Blue, there's no short of big storylines down there, especially in South Florida. With the off season, I think some of the one of the biggest splash hires anywhere around the country was Teddy Bridgewater. Retiring from the NFL, getting named the head coach at Miami Northwestern. He comes out last week, and is like, "Hey, I'm just going to show you how I'm doing," and he did, and now it's got everyone fired up.
Well, rightfully so. The whole thing is I've been around Teddy since he was like 10 years old. So I kind of know, him from the beginning and, what type of guy he is. And, a lot of people don't understand, but all the time he was in the NFL before he went to summer camp, he used to do this thing called Christmas in July. And he never called anybody, no the Herald, any of the websites, no TV stations. And he would just go pick up toys and bikes and things and give it out to the kids, things that, mom and dad are worried about getting school clothes on their back and getting, book bags and things like that to get ready for school. Teddy got a little bit of the things every single year, and he still does it for the kids who don't have that opportunity. So he came in, went to his old high school, and has just hit the ground running. His hires are great. Romeo Davis as the defensive coordinator used to play there. Torrey Cox used to play with Tampa Bay, and obviously Pitt, former Northwestern guy. So he surrounded himself with really good people. Got a lot of good kids to come in. And they look really good last week. And they play on Thursday night in that Broward County Showcase against Coconut Creek. And I'm sure that they're going to pick up where they left off, because the following week they got to go to Venice.
Yeah, it's going to get tough pretty early for them. And that really, I always like those stories about the guys who come right off the field and start coaching right away. But, that's the thing. He's been so long in the NFL that I'm sure he was ready to coach this team. And he knows, like you said, it's his alma mater.
Yeah. Well, Marty, here's the thing, too. When he was with the New Orleans Saints, all I ever heard from a lot of these people is on Friday nights, he would ride his bike to the Superdome to watch high school football.
Okay.
And, that's what he's all about. And then when he came back to South Florida, always made it a point to go to his alma mater during the off season. He bought basketball tickets for everybody who came to games. And that's just, those things happen. But like you said, there's so many different storylines, obviously, this year, especially in the South Florida area, but throughout the state. You have St. Thomas, 5-time defending state champions, coming back intact. Got a tough opener against Bishop Gorman on Saturday. Chaminade, which is a program that lost a lot. You tell me a program that lost 10 Power 4 kids that are still rated in the top 3 or 4 in the state, and that's what they do. But they've got their work cut out for them. They play St. John Bosco on Saturday in the kickoff or in the Broward Showcase. A team that really intrigued me the whole year, guys, and I think that they'll get tested right off the bat in a couple of weeks, is Coco. I think Coco's a top 5 team any way you look at it. They're huge. They run the ball well. They got one of the best quarterbacks in Brady Hart. I think they've done a really good job. And I'll tell you, of all the teams, in the state, I don't think there's going to be any undefeated teams, especially with the gauntlet that a lot of them run. But the one team that can finish undefeated this year is Miami Central. Mm-hmm. Last week they played Ocala Vanguard in the kickoff classic, and Vanguard never got across midfield the whole game. This is a team that really has a 2-game season. They play this Friday night at home against Lakeland, and then later in the year they play against Northwestern. They don't play that heavy schedule like they have, so they're almost a shoe-in. Almost a mortal lock to be in the 3A state finals this year, because no one's going to stand in their way. And you guys, I don't have to tell you about some of the, there's a lot of talent in South Florida and a lot of competition. And I think the one thing that the teams throughout the entire state have found out at the end of the year, if you want to be ranked national, you got to play that schedule. You got to play that schedule that the California teams play, the Texas teams, that they all play. I think Lakeland's a really good program. We'll find out this week, how good they are. American Heritage, same thing. Dia Bell, 2026 commitment to Texas, is going against Luke Nickel from Milton. And last year, Milton came down and lost the opening game against Western, then went up to Georgia and won 14 out of the last 15 games and won a state title. I think Homestead's a team that you really got to watch in 6A. They've been there 2 straight years. New quarterback. They still have just an amazing amount of receivers. They played Cardinal Newman last week and shut them out 22-0. I think Venice is definitely a program. What else can you say about that team? Every year they get some really good kids to come in, and that's the game. Everyone goes, well, they recruit. Everybody recruits. They had 353 kids in Dayton, Broward that have gone to different schools in the 2 counties. I'll tell you, a team that last week that I saw, and as soon as I saw them, I was so impressed. I don't think they're going to lose, in the regular season, and they got a tough schedule. Is Armwood. They are.
I was about to say you were going for Armwood there because of what they just did to Miami Norland last week.
Well, not just because of what they did, Josh, to Norland, but I've seen them all summer. They're huge up front. They have arguably one of the best backs in the state in Gerard Pringle, who's going to the University of Miami. They really, New Orleans lost a lot. So, I think you're going to see that in many games, maybe not this week, but they do play a tough schedule. They play Cocoa, they play Chaminade. So it's not going to be an easy run for them. I think another team that a lot of people may want to keep an eye on, especially, coming up in the playoff season, is Western. This is probably Western's best team that they've ever had, but you still have Columbus, who's dropped off, but you never go against Dave Dunn and that staff. I mean, they've done a tremendous job. I know they lost in the spring, at Fort Myers Bishop Vero, but they had 10 players out. He's revamped it a little bit. I think another program after the first week and throughout the summer is Orlando Jones. Darian Coleman's committed to Miami for 2026. They're stacked across the front. And they have an opportunity. They're in 4A. So if they win the top of 4A, you got Heritage and Norland on the bottom. It could be pretty interesting. And then 2 other teams, Jacksonville Mandarin, they came last year. They did a tremendous job. They come back intact with a lot of players. They've added some personnel. They're in 6A. The only drawback there is that probably the state semifinal will be them and an Armwood. So, and that should be interesting. But going around and you're seeing a lot of these teams, guys, you get an opportunity, to lay your eyes on a lot of programs that a lot of people don't see during the course of a year. Obviously, Berkeley Prep, we remember from last year. Gainesville Buchholz, I think that's a team to keep your eye on. They open up this week against Vanguard. I think Northwestern you got to keep in mind. Lake Mary's got a test this week against Cardinal Gibbons, who didn't look really good in their opener. I went to it last week. I think Tampa Plant is back in the mix. Coach Brown has done a tremendous job. St. Augustine missed out last year, but I think they've got an opportunity. And I say keep an eye on Jacksonville Bulls because that's a program that finished strong. They really didn't get tore up by Norland. It was only 21-7. But those are a couple of teams that I think that have an opportunity to do something this year. Obviously, Chaminade, no matter what, they have one of the toughest schedules in South Florida, but at the end of the spectrum I don't think there's a team this year in 1A that could stop them. Maybe next year, Orlando the First Academy is building that program.
That's interesting. You bring up Orlando First Academy because that's a program that people usually it's just all you talk about them in Orlando. Maybe they have a good year here and there. They get in the mix in the state rankings, but. Now they've been beefing up their schedule over there, and they basically have added revamped the coaching staff, so to speak, over the last couple of years.
The team.
That's exactly what they've done. Exactly. But I don't know if you mentioned Mandarin too in the mix of the things, but I know, you did mention Mandarin because we were going so thorough. But what about, is there a couple other teams? I got some people asking me what about Creekside? What about some of these other guys that maybe are lurking around because they got talent?
they're 8-9 win teams, but I don't think they're gonna. You got your defined teams. I don't think anybody up in that area will beat Mandarin. I just think Mandarin's just too well coached. They added a lot of pieces to it. They're coming back with one of the best receivers in the country, and Jamie French, a great quarterback who's going to FSU. I think they're stacked. There's teams. I think in 2A, you got Coco is going to be really, really interesting to see what they do with Berkeley Prep. That probably gives them, an opportunity. 4A to me, St. Augustine's really good, but I think 4A is going to be one, in the South End. I don't want to leave out teams, like Clearwater Central Catholic, who I think also really good. But they're just right now, they're not in that level with St. Thomas Aquinas. They may not even be, it's going to be a test for them, against Carrollwood Day, who almost, played them twice and played them really tough. So there's a lot of teams, like you say, hats off to programs like Madison County and Hawthorne and schools like Stark Bradford County, who really people don't understand. There's a lot of those programs like Madison and like Bradford County. They're really standalone programs. There's really nothing in that immediate area. Yeah, you have, Gainesville East Side and something for Hawthorne, but nobody in Madison. You got Lake City down the road. You got Tallahassee to the west. But you got to give props to those smaller communities, especially Bradford County. They could go up north or they can go south, but they're pretty much a standalone programs. And I think when people understand that, they'll see how much talent that there is in some of the rural areas. And thank goodness, I got a chance to go to a lot of those places and stopped in at Blustein and see what they're doing over at South Walton and, in Northview and programs like that. But, and they get no publicity. And as well as I do, Josh and Marty,
yes.
Forever, you try to, anytime you go past Tallahassee West, you're in a different world. You're in a different time zone. A lot of things, get cranked up at 8:30 there, our time, they don't finish, as because you do the score stuff, that they don't finish close to midnight Eastern time, 11:30 or so. But there's a lot of good teams that are still doing some really good things. Niceville's always consistent. I think Pensacola Catholic is a team that really went under the radar last year. They should have beaten Bradford County. They had them for nearly 3.5 quarters, and they let the game get away.
At the end of the day, and there's great football across this entire state, over 600 teams. You can't beat it, being a tier 1 state.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that too, because where we live, Larry, obviously I see a lot of those rural classification 1A teams. They used to be 1A, and you're right. The team like Hawthorne, you get to see them a lot, and they haven't lost a game in 3 years. This is a team that usually plays. They don't play the 1A rural competition during the season. They're usually playing above their competition or above their classification.
And you know what, Marty? That's like that saying that iron sharpens iron, because if you play above your 1A or 1 rural or whatever, they play some really good 4A and 5A teams, but they've done so well over there. Coach Ingram, I don't think he gets the due that he deserves. I think over the last couple of years, and certainly you got to look at what's happened in Madison. That's a tough act to follow. Coe leaves, goes to Coffee County, wins the state championship, and Price goes in and gets him to the state title game, in his first year. And he's a great coach. You guys know he's been really well. You look at schools like Williston and Dunellen and programs like that don't get that ink, and and wherever I go at camps or 7-on-7s, they're always there front and center, competing against the big guys and doing really well. And, it's just, as you guys know, living in the area, that there's how many times did I see Newberry during the summer? Like 10 times.
Oh yeah.
They go
and Newberry's looking pretty good this year. They got some. The talent is growing out there, and that's good for them. So
yeah. And
we'll talk about them on our next show.
Well, you're right, Josh. Programs like that. It's and people just take these smaller programs for granted. You look at, where you went to school at Middleburg, and they had a little spike. Coach Wolf had them on a little spike there. You look at, a program that I'd like to see come back is Green Cove Clay.
Clay, yeah.
Yeah, they've been down the last couple years for them, right?
Yeah, they have been down, but you know what? There's a lot of areas, a lot of teams in those areas that are cherry picking their kids too. So,
right.
You got Oak Leaf not far, and Orange Park, and all those programs like that.
Island, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
and then
absolutely.
And some of those new teams. You look at St. John's area, and not only Bartram Trail, but as you mentioned, Creekside, and a lot of those other programs. They, Ponte Vedra and Nice, and those cats. They do really well in those off seasons too. And as we saw last year, even like Matanzas was getting a bunch of kids that that played, and they've done well. And but the whole face of the state now is changing because of this. The recruiting and the NIL coming up. I know it's not going to affect the lesser kids, but you never know what's going to happen in some of the bigger cities like Orlando and Tampa, St. Pete, and South Florida, and Jacksonville, where these kids are going to have a lot of options. To me, a program like Trinity Christian is kind of falling off because of the fact that they can't keep up with the public schools anymore. And you look at Bowles, right. And I looked at Bowles' roster. They're stacked. They're stacked with talent. But they lost 4 times last year, 4 or 5 times. But I'll tell you, by the end of the year, they really played real well, and they've got some talent. And I'm excited about the season ahead. There's a lot of competition. Like we're fortunate because we have that Broward Showcase. They've done a great job with that. You get an opportunity, a chance to see the number 1, 2, 4, 9, and 14 teams in the nation from last year. It kind of opens up on Thursday with Teddy Bridgewater's team playing Coconut Creek. Lake Mary's coming down with Noah Grubbs to play Cardinal Gibbons, which I think is going to be a real good thing. Scott, they're trying to do that now. Instead of getting all outside the state teams, they're adding a North Florida team. They're adding a Dade County team to the mix. So it's going to be interesting. And, next year they're looking to get Jones down with Darian, now going to be a senior. They're looking for Venice. Miami Central's already agreed for next year. Mater Dei's already agreed for next year. St. Joe's of Pennsylvania the same way. So, and then you get Georgia teams. They got Peachtree Ridge this year. Milton's coming back, and it gives us an opportunity to see the competition. I know that for years and years and years, Florida always had to go someplace. Nobody ever comes to us, but this year it's going to be different. And there's a lot of good games. I think that, Coco's going to play IMG, which I think is going to be a test. They may get worn down because of IMG's, size and number of players. But I'll tell you what, guys, don't sleep on Coco. Ryan's done a nice job.
No, absolutely. I mean, we could go on for hours talking with Blue.
Really, we should have 2 hours with you easily, Blue. But yeah, what you were talking about too, and I don't know, I never mind the Broward County showcase. That's going to be great this weekend on ESPN. But you were talking about Lakeland going to Central. I mean, the week 1, Josh and I were talking last night. I mean, this is again one of those things that's changed with the point system. I don't think I've ever seen a week 1 with this many great games. I mean, this is loaded this week.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, Marty. And not only that, is I think you're going to see that in weeks 2, 3, 4, and 5 too. Because right. as we mentioned, you look at a team like St. Thomas, who always, wins. They're really stepped up to the plate this year. They're playing Heritage, they're playing Western, they're playing Chaminade, they're playing Columbus, and then they open up obviously with Bishop Gorman, defending national champion. So if you want to be in the mix, at the end of the year, you've got to play this schedule. Right after, Chaminade plays their opening game against Bosco. Oh, well, they play Heritage and they play Norland. And, there's no backing away because the fans down in South Florida, or I should say the fans throughout the state, especially now in the Orlando area where the stakes have raised, and a lot of these teams like the Joneses and, Edgewaters and such are in the mix. Seminole, you can't duck people. And I give hats off to the Edgewater for going out to England and playing that first game last week. What a great experience. What a great life experience. The only thing I was a little soured to find out is they had to pay for it. I think the NFL has enough money where they could foot the bill for something.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Someone should have paid for that. I mean, they shouldn't have had to put that out of their own pocket to go there. And I think
$25,000 they had to come up with.
Ooh, good night.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah,
and the NFL could, but you know what? I kept in contact with Coach Duke, and and they had such a great time. They got a chance to see all the sights, and that's the great thing. And that's the great thing too, guys, about the summers when a lot of these high schools go on, these caravans to all these colleges throughout the Southeast, and especially going through the South and up the Atlantic seaboard, where you go to battlegrounds and you go to, where Civil War, things that kids read about, and they get to see them firsthand, plus get to see some great colleges. And so football in the state of Florida, I can't be happier that, I've been around this thing for a long time, guys. And the telltale sign is I can't sleep the night before games because it's so exciting. That's like a little kid. I sleep with my glove.
Let's go.
Which games are you going to this week to start?
Well, the two Thursday night, Heritage and Cocoa and I keep saying Coconut Creek against Northwestern. We get to see Teddy's official debut, and then Monarch is playing the second game against Peachtree Ridge of Georgia. They lost their opening game. Then the next night on Friday, I'm gonna skip a lot of those Broward games to go see Lakeland and Central. I think it's a good game. And then on Saturday at 4:00, I'll be front and center at St. Thomas when they play against Gorman, and then 8:00 at night, get an opportunity to see Chaminade and a really good Bosco team. And those teams, guys, I had, on our show last night. That's the reason why I didn't call you, Josh, this week, because we were covering all the teams that are coming down, and we had Gorman.
Oh, you're good.
We had Gorman and Bosco on this week, and they're excited. As good as those teams are, both of them go to Hawaii. They go all over the place. But this is the second year in a row that St. John Bosco is coming back, and Coach Nigro he's so pumped. They're leaving them on a red eye tomorrow night, and they're going to come down Thursday and then, hang out. And last year they came down and went to a Marlin game. We apologize for that, but
well, this year,
nevertheless, and they got a chance, to see some of the sights. And, for the kids, it's a great thing. They never get a chance to see, a lot of things, in the state of Florida. And the same thing when the kids come down to the Orlando area from outside the area. Right. They hear about Disney and they hear about all these places, and now they get a chance to go to them. So, and I know you guys work extremely hard, and Josh, I commend that you got your site going really well. You do all your stuff, and
appreciate it.
As well as I do, a lot of competition for people who don't, go places, but want to reap the rewards. So, but keep doing what you do, Josh, Marty. I always have respect for you, and you guys do a tremendous job, and I hope to catch up with you during the season.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you. Other than always at the state championships, it seems like wherever they will be this year, we don't know.
We don't know yet, but we
don't know. It's not Tallahassee.
No,
we've heard a word or two that FIU might be in play.
Yeah,
FIU.
Yes,
I don't. You know what? Being a South Florida guy, I just think they should sign a 90-year deal in Orlando. Really?
Honestly,
I agree too.
Honestly, I would love to go back to Orlando because it's central. It's kind of mostly central for everybody, and there's plenty of hotels.
That's the best place.
And you know what? If you have to fly in from Pensacola, it's not that costly. You know, I mean, and I like I said, the hotel rooms are affordable. There's plenty of places to eat. Tallahassee, listen, I had a great time up there, but it's just a hike. When teams have to come a majority of the teams have to come from over 6 hours away. That's not a good thing.
No. It's too far north, right?
536 miles last year for Homestead, 518 miles for Columbus, and 509 for St. Thomas. Yeah, and then Chaminade 487. Come on.
Yeah,
that's just not right. Even the teams like Venice and stuff had to come from 6 hours away.
Well, Larry, I could tell you, I was down in your area in July for a week visiting friends. I always like coming down there, and I actually went to a Marlins game because I love baseball, so I'll go.
Yeah, I know you do.
But also in about 10, 11 days, the Hurricanes are coming here. I'm looking forward to this game. Miami and Florida playing in Gainesville for the first time, and I think it's been 15 years or so since they played here.
One of the five toughest places in the country to play. So, and I know Miami, although they have a lot of talent, the fans are really skeptical. They're 13-13
Same here.
Years, and I know I was up in Gainesville, and I talked to Billy and the gang, and they're excited about it. And they have a lot of young kids. But, with Graham Mertz coming back, I think they feel good about having a veteran quarterback. Their line is real good. Yeah. And, it's going to be exciting. And I know the fans are excited about it in Miami. And certainly they're ready to hit the airwaves on Monday when Miami loses. They're going to go, same old thing, same old thing.
well, hey, as we can say, welcome to 2024 football season because it is here and it's ready to rock and roll here. And Larry Blustein, Larry, they can find you on Twitter at Prep RedZone FL. I know your other account was at Larry Blustein. The Twitter still hasn't figured out what the heck happened.
No, well, what happened was someone took it and then they changed emails. So now, even when I would go in for my password, I wouldn't know where it was sending it. So, you know what? I just sticking to Florida, our Prep RedZone Florida site. And here's the weird thing. It's been like 6 weeks and we've gotten almost 1,800 new users on the site that I'm not even on anymore. So, so at least people still know it and, and I appreciate it. But, we have more important things to do. We go a lot of places and get a chance to see some kids. So it's important. And hopefully we'll see you guys during the season. There's a lot of football to be played. And like I said, keep up the great work. Everybody depends on what you both do throughout the course of the year.
You still have the radio show down on QAM, right?
Yeah, every Monday night, 6 to 8. We had that thing like I said, the last 2 weeks we've had all 14 coaches on from the showcase games. We had all the head coaches on. Norvell's come on. Billy's been on. We get coaches from, Greg Schiano, from out the Southeast. We've even gone out West and had a couple of coaches now that Stanford and Cal are in the ACC.
That's weird. I'm still trying to, my head is still baffled behind that one.
Well, and they got all come east for their game. Miami has to go to Cal this year. And I think FSU's got to go next year. So it's, hey, listen, unless FSU buys their way out and goes in the SEC. So
that might not be a far-fetched idea there.
Well, I know you're a busy man, but I know you love doing this stuff. So
I do. And if anything you guys ever need or any of the fans watching your show, please let me know. And we're always around. We always try to go to as many things as possible. And and I got to say, our Prep RedZone people are doing a really good job. Drew and his gang over there in the Lakeland and Tampa area, and up in your area as well. And we get the whole South Florida and. Yeah, so and then we put out a lot of things. Like today we had our top 30 rankings preseason. And, like I try to tell people who are ready to hang me, they're going to change every week. So by week 8, if you're really that good, you'll be in them.
No, absolutely, Blue. And we appreciate you taking your time out of your thing. We went a little bit longer than we wanted. We planned on, but this is the fun part. This is when this happens, I will embrace it and take it every time. We
can change formats. It's not a problem.
I didn't mean that, but I appreciate it.
No, not at all. We love talking to you.
We love talking to you, Blue. And you know what? If we had 2 hours to go with this, I'd take 2 hours a week because people would love it and people would be chiming in.
That's true.
So
I try to cover everybody, so nobody's mad at me. So that's it.
But you know what? If they say if you don't make somebody mad, you're not doing your job right. So there you go.
I agree. Well, I put a post on Facebook because last week Norland chastised me for putting them 6th in the South Florida area, and then afterwards, Coach Davis from Armwood thought he heard me say that Norland was the number 1 team. So I put something on the post the other day. It says, if you have to motivate your team by rankings or with somebody else's opinion, then you're not doing it right.
That's right.
Oh, I saw that. Yes, you're right about that.
But all's well. And guys, have a great season. Hopefully we can jump back on with you during the middle.
Yeah,
no, absolutely.
We'll have you on.
All right,
soon,
guys. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it, Blue. That was Larry Blustein from Prep Red Zone joining us here on the South Florida Blitz.
Yeah.
And
we're going to change a little bit here. I think we pretty much talked about the Blitz line. So let's take a break. We'll do our pick six and come back.
We just had everything.
30 minutes with Larry. So, that was great.
I mean, we just had everything in our.
We really did. So.
I mean, honestly, we just talked about everything about.
So let's take our water break. We'll come back and we'll give you the pick six. And if we have a fan question of the week, we'll get to that as well. All right, you're watching the South Florida Blitz. Marty Pallman, Joshua Wilson. You are watching tonight here on Facebook, on X and Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube. Back in 2 minutes. All right, welcome back to the South Florida Blitz. And before we get to our pick six, I want to let everyone know about financial advisor Philip Crutchfield. No two of us are exactly alike. That's why you need a financial advisor with the freedom to focus on the details that make your life your own, your family, the challenges you face, the dreams that inspire you. Whatever your goals, you need an advisor who can create a plan uniquely tailored to you, all backed by the sophisticated resources of Raymond James. That's life well planned. To learn more, call financial advisor Philip Crutchfield at 352-642-8330. Raymond James and Associates Incorporated, member New York Stock Exchange, SIPC. We'll see.
I thought you were going to say J. Philip Crutchfield.
J. Philip Crutchfield. Yeah, every now and then I call him that. This is our format. Well, we're going to rip this up completely here. And the Blitz lines, we went through all of that. Now we're going to go to our, see, it's gone. We ripped them up. And this is what we do. You do things on the fly when you're going live. So,
especially when you have technical difficulties.
Well, that's true. But hey, we're on, and it's been a really good show so far, having Larry Blustein on with us. And
that's how you recover.
Do we have a fan question of the week?
No, but we do have a couple of comments sitting here. Let's Charles Bell says, "Hey, good evening, guys. Hello, Charles. Glad you're watching there on Facebook." And our friend Nully, he was laughing. He was having a good time watching, especially with Blue. So definitely appreciate joining on and watching as well. Also, a good one of our posters over there on the message boards on FloatHSFootball.com. So, yes.
All right. So, in that case, now we'll move along, and this is going to be fun. The pick six. There it is. There's the music. And, boy, this is going to be fun. First of all, let's look back on last week's results.
Well, yeah, let's do that because
SSAA games last week we picked.
Well, you know what? There were some interesting results here, and I'm going to throw it up here in the banner here in just a moment here. I'm going to throw it up here on the screen. But, Marty, Me and you did all right. The computer not so much.
Well, that's good because we're humans and the computer isn't. So the computer doesn't really care how it does. But that's Josh is now putting up the results here. Yeah, boy, oh boy. I'm starting to wonder about your computer a little bit.
Well, it's preseason. Come on, come on.
Week 1, wasn't it? It was SSAA games. Yeah, right. But I know it's early, and as you can see, Josh and I went 4-2, so we were even in this one. I was 5-1 in the Gulf Coast and the Central Florida. Josh was 4-2 in both. So,
but yeah, I'm looking at for our next one, and I'm not so sure. But
what did our? Yeah, I know that's probably true. But what's our? Let's see what our results were from last week. We had
so last week we both picked NSU University. We got that one right. Oxbridge we actually picked and got that one right.
Yep.
The computer was wrong there on that one. St. Edwards we were not correct on, and that did not go so well.
That was a blowout. Yeah.
Boca Raton Christian they won.
Okay.
So the computer had Tradition Prep winning. Well, that's not the case. You had Tradition Prep. You took him there, but I took LaBelle. LaBelle won that game. And then Coral Springs Charter did not win, but American Heritage Delray did. So
yeah, so I had American Heritage. The Delray American Heritage.
Not the Plantation one.
Pardon me, the Stallions.
Stallions, yes, indeed.
American Heritage Patriots. We will be on our picks, I believe, this week. So, So there you go, 4-2. We're tied on the South Florida picks, and now we'll move on to Week 1, FHSA Week 1. And here we go, right off the bat. You heard Blue talking about it. Lake Mary heading down to play Cardinal Gibbons in Fort Lauderdale, and this might be one. I mean, there were so many games in South Florida this week that are just huge, but this game here is another good one. And honestly, after hearing Cardinal Gibbons with their struggles a little bit and knowing how Lake Mary has been playing.
But
go ahead.
But I think you also, I'm wondering about Lake Mary, they're still wondering, hey, can they replicate what they did last year, but Noah Grubbs, it's another year, then hey, it should be better. But
it's tough winning on the road down there, yeah.
But playing in South Florida is a whole different atmosphere for any team, and especially at Bud Tight Field there at Cardinal Gibbons. That's a place in itself right there. It's right in the middle of the neighborhood there in South Florida. And honestly, they got their fan base down there at Gibbons. And honestly, this is where I lean to the home team on this one for my pick this week.
And I think you just kind of actually talked me into that a little bit just for this conversation. I'm going to go with Cardinal Gibbons as well. Although looking at the line, the computer pick, only 6 on this one. Yeah, there we go. Cardinal Gibbons by 6, not bad. Lake Mary's a good team, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm going with the home field at Cardinal Gibbons. And speaking of that, going with the home field, that's what we're going to talk about this next game. There it is, Lakeland, Miami Central at Traz-Powell. Miami Central last year, not a normal year for them. Didn't make it. I think lost the second round of the postseason.
Miami Norland, who eventually lost.
Miami Norland, who lost to Berkeley Prep, right? But Lakeland's won back-to-back state titles. But this, as we talked about last night on the Gulf Coast show, first time Lakeland has ever played a regular season game in South Florida.
Yes, and that's the big thing right there. And honestly, we're gonna pull this comment up in a moment here because it doesn't rate the tease. Talk about an uproar. It's like
right about that.
Yeah, I mean, but it's preseason. There's some factors in there. There's some factors I didn't put in there, but it's only going to be a matter of time before other factors eventually I'll adjust the algorithm as we go along. And
I know, looking at this, we're about to have a disagreement big time with the.
I'm glad the computer doesn't rank the teams. Talk about an uproar. Well, you're going to like this, but you're going to like this on one side, but you're not going to like us on the other side. Let's say that.
You're going to like
And Charles Bell says, I know there's a big game here, so it's going to be a good one.
Well, let's put up the number. I guess we need to pick the game first.
Yeah. So. My pick is actually I'm going home field because Traz-Powell is a place that is hard to win at, and any team that has come from outside the 305, the 954, the 561 that has played in that stretch along I-95 knows it is difficult to play at Traz-Powell. It is difficult. So if you're a team outside of that, those 3 area codes I just listed off, you better be prepared.
Prepared like that, but
yes,
Central,
prepared.
well, if you remember a year ago, Lakeland started off, I believe, 0-2 before they won that state title. Central went down to Lakeland last year and really blew them out at Bryant Stadium. But again, this game at Traz-Powell, And Lakeland, I'm going with the Central. I'm going with the home team here. I know you said that as well. I like them to win at home.
Now, I'm going with Miami Central at home as well, but the computer
lost its mind.
Yeah, the computer has lost its mind, and I'm sorry,
Whatever
Nolly.
mind it doesn't have. I didn't know we had sound effects. When did we start that? Wah, 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 wah. Yeah.
Or
well, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out.
You got the Price is Right one on there somewhere?
Somehow I had the Price is Right one at one point here. Let's see. Actually, I may have it. Actually, hold on a second.
Messing around with our. There it is. Yeah, that's about right for the computer, we think. But I mean, Lakeland could win this game, but I just 37. I'm really, really stunned there. But anyway, we're both taking Central, and that's gonna be a big one as well.
No, right. Absolutely. And so, you know what? Now we're gonna start getting to the Broward Showcase games.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. And our first game is the number 2 team, I think nationally, Bishop Gorman.
Yes.
And they'll play St. Thomas Aquinas, who's ranked top 10. At Aquinas. That game will be Saturday at 4. This will be an ESPN game as well. And boy, the computer doesn't help us out much here. Because they have Aquinas as a 1-point favorite. It always seems to me that these teams that come from the west of Florida, it's tough. I mean, it's a long trip. Also, I don't think you can just put it past Aquinas being at home for this game. I think that's going to be huge.
No, and that's where I'm just like, and you know what? Before we really get fully involved, well, you talk about that. I'm going to bring up some comments here. You go ahead and talk about what you're thinking here, because someone said smart computer.
Yeah, except we're not going with the computer, but yeah, it might be. Who knows? Armwood came and beat Norland last week, and people predicted Norland be on. Yep, man, that was an impressive win. You heard Blue talking about it. In this game, though, I don't think there's a lot of difference. I mean, really, between these two, it's Bishop Gorman already's played a game. They beat the team from Hawaii last week at home. Aquinas, their opener, looked good against Bishop Borough in the kickoff classic.
But here's a couple factors where I go Aquinas in this. Okay, one, you're coming. It's 3 time zones over, because I believe I believe Las Vegas operates on Pacific time.
They are on Pacific time, yes, right now.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. 2, it is like 95 degrees with 100% humidity here in Florida right now. Thank you very much.
Game.
Okay, and it's a 4:00 game on field turf.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be,
and it's not a dry heat.
No, it is a dry heat in Vegas. Have you ever been there? But yeah, not in Fort Lauderdale. So,
no.
So I think we're both actually going to go with Aquinas here, it sounds like. And yeah, that's the case. Now, again, look at the 1 is the difference.
Actually, the computer said 0 because they're ranking us like this.
Yeah,
it's very much like this. It's deadlocked.
It's pretty much even. Yeah. I can see that now. You're right. It's just a little bit of difference towards Aquinas. But as you said, you and I are kind of going with the home field here. So we'll take Aquinas, I guess, in that one. All right. Game number 4, we will have in a moment. This will also be a game for the Broward County Showcase.
Yes, it will be. And it's the game we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and Miami Northwestern coming off that impressive game, winning the Kickoff Classic. Teddy Bridgewater, his first game at Coconut Creek. Coconut Creek, a team that advanced, I believe, to the state semifinals a year ago. Honestly, this game, I know what I'm seeing right now with the computer, but I think Northwestern may be back. So I'm going to take them on the road to win this game against Coconut Creek.
I'm going Coconut Creek here just because,
they've been good, no doubt. But the computer agrees with Josh on this one. He'll put it up there in a moment as Coconut Creek by 13. But I'm saying, I know Northwestern, how good they've been through the years. The down year, maybe the last 2 years, but I think they may be back here. So we're going to have a little bit of a difference on that one.
Oh, we skipped a game here in just a moment, so we got to go back and the thing was we forgot the St. John Bosco game here.
No, I thought it was the next game. Yeah, that is another game for the Broward County Showcase. This will be Saturday night, 8:00
at St. Thomas Aquinas, by the way.
And for some, I don't know how Aquinas got the afternoon game and Chaminade got the night game at Aquinas. That surprises me a little bit, but I guess maybe TV predicted that or predicated it. But yeah, John, that's what it was. St. John Bosco out of California.
Yes.
And they will be taking on Chaminade Madonna, the 3-time Three-time defending state champ. They won 3 or 4.
Well, yeah. I mean, but
now,
if they had not lost in 2020, we'd be talking like 8-9 sitting here.
They won 6 out of 7. Yeah, 7 out of 8. I think you're right. They probably should have won more than 5 in a row, but they lost to Trinity Christian there in 2020 by like 2 points. Well, this game again. This is kind of maybe the same issue here. Chaminade's at home, kind of at home. I mean, it's home for them in Broward County. It's not home for St. John Bosco. And again, having to come cross country, it's the same deal. 3 time zones over. I mean, it's a night game, but still.
In Blues, like, well, they graduated some guys here and all that. But you know what? Chaminade doesn't rebuild. They just reload. It's plug and play. Damian Jones knows what he's doing over there. I mean, he's just been doing it since like 2016. I mean, it's been, ever since he walked into the building, it's been title, except for 2020.
Right. And then again, they were close that year. I mean, they should have probably won it that year. They lost in the last minute of the game. That team, that program's on a roll, no doubt. And now St. John Bosco, you know how good they are, but it seems like this is not the first time they've come over to play here either, I believe.
No.
So,
but 3-hour time zone difference. It's Florida. It's not a dry heat.
We're gonna go Florida homer this week and take the Florida teams here. Yeah, I'll go with the Chaminade Madonna, and only 3 points, so pretty much an even pick there as well between the two. Maybe home field being the only difference.
And we got
Cardinal Gibbons
and another one that is
Chaminade Madonna.
Yeah, and now this one, this is going to be an ESPN game. This one will be. Also, my understanding is we'll be at St. Thomas Aquinas on Friday night. And that is this one right here. Milton, Georgia. Not Milton, Florida. Milton, Georgia.
That would be a different game.
Versus American Heritage Plantation.
Yeah, how about Milton, Georgia? They're ranked top 10 in the country, top 5 actually. And already got 1 win in their opener last week against one of the Georgia teams. And American Heritage, their opener. And then, last year was not a typical year for American Heritage as they lost early on in the postseason, but they're expected to be back this year.
But yes,
Friday night, as you said, this is the televised game Friday night.
So, I mean, this one's tough because the computer, I think, is not giving Milton as much love as it should be in this situation. It's giving it love. It's just, when we talk about a pure dynamic standpoint here, I mean, when you talk about Jeff Fisher, what he did, in High School Football America, 15,000 teams. I don't know how you have time to ring 15,000 teams, but
it boggles the mind, honestly, but
it does boggle the mind.
So who are you taking here?
I am going to homerism pick of because American Heritage in my point.
Well, and that's the thing. Do I think all 3 Florida teams are going to win these games? All of them? No, but I don't know if honestly Milton. I don't know. I know them less than I know St. John Bosco and Bishop Gorman. I know those are really good programs. So for that reason, I'm trying to come up with differences. I don't know why. I'm going to take American Heritage as well. So basically, again, a home field advantage, and 7 is the difference there, a little bit different. But I wouldn't be surprised if one of the Florida teams goes down, at least one.
But there's 7 games total, so you got to think about this. I mean, we could have put Hoover. We could have put Hoover versus Western on here. But true. It's
Hoover not the same as they have been.
No,
yeah, they're playing Davie Western this weekend. So that is our pick 6 for this week, and boy, we have had a big show here from the South Florida Blitz. Any comments before we go?
No, I mean, I don't think so. Other than I will say I think the computer was a little off, and that
it's early yet. We'll have to play that next week if we lose the picks. That'll be more appropriate. But yes, boy, what a week it's going to be. Starting Thursday night down there in Broward County. And I'm looking forward to, normally games on Friday nights, I can't see them because I've got my own game, but looking forward to watching these games on Saturday this week. That's going to be a lot of fun.
No, absolutely. And,
all right.
And then, so.
Lakeland, the computer's drunk.
Yeah, let's see. Hey, Christopher Like says Milton won last week with a 2-hour rain delay. If the weather's a factor, they have a hand. But the problem is that a lot of this South Florida is. Well, Chris, how South Florida can be. So
yeah, he's the computer. Nelly sucked the. Yeah, there you go. I'll be shocked the Lakeland will be Central by
Charles
30. So,
Bell.
Me too. But of course, Nelly, the Lakeland man, says the computer got Lakeland right. So we'll see.
This is a great show, guys.
I appreciate it. All right. Well, that's going to do it for the South Florida Blitz. Thanks for tuning in. And boy, I want to thank Larry Blustein, as always, LarryBlustein.com and Prep RedZone Florida. We talked to him about 30 minutes or no. We may have another show just with him later in the year. That's going to do it. We'll talk to you next Tuesday, 7:30. We'll have some games to talk about.
Yes.
Recaps next week here at the South Florida Blitz. For Joshua Wilson, I am Marty Pallman. You've been watching episode 2 of the South Florida Blitz. So long and enjoy the games here this week.